to everyone for making the long trip here and for allowing me to spend a few minutes together with you. Pain, wealth. What's the connection? There is none. That's the point. Thank you for the clicker. If you are in your pain, at the point where you allow your pain to define you, it is highly unlikely that you will be a successful manifester of all things wealthy. And if by some miracle you are able to attract that wealth into your life, it's highly unlikely that you will be able to savor its benefits. That's just for you to read. So what am I saying? If you are stuck in your pain, you will be less likely to attract into your life love, happiness, material wealth, physical health, energy, and vitality. Life is full of so many circumstances we cannot control. Being alive means being exposed to pain. Can we avoid it? Of course not. How many of you have ever experienced pain in your life? Only 5. Lucky you, the best is yet to come. So what am I saying? Life happens. Shit happens. Pain happens. It's unavoidable. And you can choose what to do with that pain. You can either allow yourself to become your pain, allow your pain to define you, or you can take that pain, process it, reframe it, allow it to stay on your own terms, and let it be a catalyst to a new and better life for yourself. Can I tell you a story? In 2008, there was a woman. She thought she had it all. Husband, 3 children, a great career, a balanced and happy life. And then one day, her husband arrived home from an overseas trip. He seemed a little distant. The next morning, as she was casually smoking a cigarette outside, her husband walked up to her and said, "Your biceps are looking good. I want a divorce. It's non-negotiable." She felt as if she had been kicked in the chest by a horse. Her life, as she knew it, was turned completely upside down. She became extremely depressed. She literally could not swallow her new reality. She starved herself and weighed 38 kilograms. She was passively suicidal and used to pray to God each night, "Please, God, take me in my sleep. Take me in my sleep." She was so consumed by that pain. Can I tell you another story? There was a woman. She was a divorcee. She had 3 children. She made a decision that her divorce was not going to define her. Her divorce was going to be the turning point in her life. In this space, she decided to create a new and better life for herself. In fact, she found herself running a half marathon after 5 months of training. She met and married a new man. She had a 4th child. She changed career directions, and she sold a book deal. Would you believe it? That first woman, that second woman, they're both me. And I think I can give myself a hand for that. Through my own experiences, in working through my own pain and working with people who are going through pain, I developed a system, a roadmap through pain, and I like to call them beacons of hope. You can have a look over here. So I talk about 7 stages. The first stage is what I call Hiroshima. The next stage, conscious acceptance. Number 3, the anger grief cocktail. Number 4, I choose happiness, I choose life. 5, rediscover who you are. 6, analysis. And 7, step into my new life. Hiroshima, the shit has hit the fan. Literally, you are in turmoil, in trauma. Your life has been turned completely upside down. Have you ever felt like that? I can bet. You know what is so crazy? That in this phase, in this stage, we find ourselves making major life decisions, like signing divorce agreements, resigning from a job, signing major contracts, sitting in therapy and thinking, what role did I play in this? My message to you is Hiroshima is not the time to be doing these things and to be thinking these things. Hiroshima is the time to be processing your pain, to be allowing yourself to feel your pain without judgment, so that you can eventually reach the next phase of conscious acceptance. When we talk about acceptance, so many people say to me, is it a natural progression to arrive at this phase? And the answer is absolutely not. Acceptance is a very conscious decision. The truth is, we can't control many circumstances in life. Shit happens. But what we can control is how we react to them. So what I'm saying is, if you resist, it persists. So how about giving yourself the gift of acceptance to allow you to reach the next phase? I remember after my divorce, driving myself crazy, thinking, what did I do? What could I have done differently? How could I have done it better? When did he stop loving me? How did this happen? Did this help? No. All this did was torture me. So if you can, the sooner you can reach that phase of acceptance, I am getting divorced, I am ill, I have lost my job, then you can allow yourself to move on to the next phase. The next phase that I talk about is very similar to Hiroshima. I call it the anger grief cocktail. Boo-hoo, I hate you. In fact, it's almost identical to Hiroshima, except that you are now mourning something that you have accepted. You are no longer in disbelief. So what is the danger of this phase? The danger is, first of all, again, many people make major life decisions from this point, which I strongly advise again, and if you have, I'm sure you'll be able to tell me how that worked out for you. The other thing is, the danger of this phase is if you get stuck in it, if you allow yourself to just sit in this cocktail and in this machine of anger and grief, you can become stuck in it, and it becomes like quicksand. At this point, you need to choose bitter or better. And for myself, I clearly remember the turning point. I was lying on my bed crying. I think I had been crying for about 4 months, literally, and a friend of mine was sitting at the foot of the bed, and she said to me, when are you going to choose happiness? I looked at her. She said to me, if you don't choose happiness, 4 years' time, you're going to still be crying, and you're going to be sick of your story. I actually hated her in that moment. I thought, you have a husband, you have children, what do you know? But I thought perhaps I should humor her. So I did. And I made a decision that day to choose happiness. But did that mean I woke up the next morning with a smile on my face and then I was happy ever after? No, it was just a conscious decision towards creating a good life for myself. What does this entail? How do you choose happiness? How do you create a good life for yourself? Consciously. First of all, my first bit of advice is grab your diary. Schedule happiness time for yourself each day. It can be 5 minutes, taking your dog for a walk, listening to uplifting music, reading, writing, dancing, whatever it takes. Because if you don't find that time to schedule happiness, pain is all you will feel. And also happiness builds on itself. So if you have 5 minutes today, perhaps you'll have 10 minutes tomorrow. The guarantee is that if you don't do anything, you will sit and remain in your pain. I'd like you all to try a bit of an experiment for me. If you could stand up. Thank you. And assume something that I call a power pose. You can choose. You could do this. You could do this. You could do this. Okay? Take deep breaths, and I want you to really commit to your pain. Okay? Really commit to feeling shit. It's quite hard, wouldn't you say? Now sit down. Thank you. You're very obedient. And put yourselves in a slumped, crumpled posture. And I want you to try and convince yourself with these very shallow breaths that you feel terribly happy in that space. It works, hey? So what am I saying? I'm saying change your posture, change your breath, fake it till you make it. Surround yourself with people that uplift you. Have a power support team. You are running a marathon. Listen to music, laugh, watch comedy shows. Laughter produces endorphins. Literally, fake it till you make it. The next phase we look at is rediscovering who you are. Now, how many of you sit and think, if only, the life that you would fantasize about having, if only, or when the children leave home, or one day when I have more time, or if only I had studied this, or if I believed in myself? I remember the first weekend alone when my children were with my ex-husband, and I found myself with just me. Now, I was no longer Stacey the wife in that space. I didn't have my children with me, so I wasn't Stacey the mother, I wasn't Stacey the physiotherapist, it was a weekend. I was absolutely petrified of myself and petrified of being alone. But then I thought, here's my opportunity. What if this is my time to design the life I'd like to live? And I did it. In this space, I went to see a life coach in January 2011, and in July 2011, I ran the NASNA 21. Doesn't sound like such a major achievement, but if I tell you I couldn't run 1 kilometer, I'm not lying. Massive achievement. In this space, I worked on my belief in myself, and I managed to attract a man towards me that was good and kind and took me and my 3 children on. I managed to change career directions. I started a website called www.thedivorcesource, and I signed a book deal, which I'm releasing this year in September. This is the space, again, yes, the space for miracles and magic. And I could do it, and so can you, if you allow yourself. If you allow yourself. The next stage I talk about is called taking responsibility. Analysis. Now, so many people sit in Hiroshima and go to therapy, and the therapists demand of them, and I'm not knocking therapy, but what role did you play in this? And how did you contribute towards your divorce or losing your job or your pain? And yes, there's a place for it, but not in Hiroshima. When you have owned your power and you've let go of a little bit of your pain, and what's sitting in your pocket, it's behaving itself, that is the time for analysis, that is the time for therapy, and that is where therapy, life coaching, things like that can be even more powerful, because you are okay to accept it and take it on and allow it to be. The last stage, of course, is stepping into a new life. Now, does this mean you're pain-free? Are we ever pain-free? No. But as I said, your pain is in your pocket. You've taken that pain, you've reframed it, you've spun it around, you've given it a talking to and said, you can stay on my terms. And this, you've allowed that pain to let you see the gifts and to give you the gift of stepping into a new and better life. So pain happens to all of us. It's unavoidable. Pain is part of life. But, or should I say, and, as human beings, we are blessed with choice. You can either let that pain define you and consume you and become you, or you can take that pain, you can process it, you can feel it without judgment, and you can put it in your pocket and let it be your companion into a new and better life. So if you deal with pain, you will have a life filled with more love, happiness, material wealth, physical health, energy, and vitality. And to end off, I'd love to share, and I'm going to read it because I love her words, my favorite quote by one of my favorite people. Her name is Elizabeth Gilbert, and she says, "The women whom I love and admire for their strength and grace did not get that way because stuff worked out. They got that way because stuff went wrong, and they handled it. They handled it in 1,000 different ways on 1,000 different days, but they handled it. Those women are my superheroes." Thank you for sharing with me this evening.